Welcome everyone, today we have a new exciting build guide for Diablo 4. So before I say anything, let's have a look at the highlights. So this is a ROUGE build guide, and this is my friend's account. Notice that he is demonstrating, or I'm using his character to demonstrate to you guys how powerful this rogue can be with an infinite traps reset, poisoned, infinite stacking rogue. Yeah, there's a lot of key terms. So what he is doing is he's stacking poison, and this amplifies multiple times, and he has infinite traps reset. So notice his traps, the cooldowns of the traps will be resetted if he stays in the poison traps, which I'm not doing correctly. So what I do is I have the whole replay for you guys at the end of the video and have a look at it fully. At the moment, I wasn't demonstrating the rogue correctly and he was face palming. So let me show you guys a little bit more. Now previously we were farming in the experience caves and the monsters were scaling to a level. So over here I want to show you guys what happens when you farm the nightmare dungeons. And this is a level 43, 42 dungeon I believe. And I just want to show you guys this is very straightforward. The rogue has no trouble in this dungeon and we deal tremendous damage. And you can see all the enemy melts. So here is a pack of elites, and now I'm playing properly, I'm actually standing still. So the goal of this build is to stand still, withhold any damage, reset all your cooldowns, and deals tremendous damage. You deal so much poison damage and you're very durable. Notice that most of the time I'm resetting my cooldowns on my spells, and I'm not using potions. So the highlight of this build for my friend is he wants to be a little brainless, he just wants to play, he doesn't want to drink potions, he just wants to be a durable, tanking rogue that deals tremendous damage. Now later on, I'll show you guys the rotation of the skill build and also the best combinations. You can see this rogue is actually really powerful. And to provide you guys with a better comparison, here we will be fighting a mini world boss, which is the PvP boss. And this is a mini elite boss. You can see the boss have 4 bars of HP. Look how fast we kill the boss. And this is quite incredible. So the infinite poison stacking allows us to dig through the boss in about a few seconds. In less than 5 or 6 seconds, the boss is dead. And we can withstand all the boss's damage. So we're very durable, very powerful, and the damage we deal increase multiple times as we hit monsters. Now, similar to all of our build videos, I'll be working with mobilities and also provide you guys with a cheat sheet of the summary of the spells and also the abilities and also the choice of legendaries. So make sure you guys check the links below and we'll be updating this build for you guys very soon. Now I'm sure you guys are excited to see the item choices and also the choices of the paragons and also skill trees. So notice here, when I'm standing still, I'm actually deal a lot of attack damage. So over 10,000 attack damage when I'm standing still. So it's very powerful. And one of the highlight of this build is it doesn't require any unique items. You can be crafting this build as early as level 60 or level 70. Notice that most of his gears are level 60. There's only one level 84, most of the gears are level 70. So this was a functional rogue build at level 70. But slowly as he gets higher levels, he was able to upgrade his gears. Now if you guys want to see all his gears, I'll have the replay of the highlights of the gears at the end of the video. Now the specialization of this rogue will be the preparation rogue, which allows us to make use of ultimates and also reset cooldowns. So now let's come over to the skill trees. We'll be going with Puncher, and also Puncher allows us to slow and also make enemies vulnerable. We're still a Twisting Blade rogue. That's right, even after the nerfs of Twisting Blade, you can still make use of the cooldown reduction and also the damage over time. And this also allows us to reset CDs and also lower the cooldowns of the traps. Now because my friend is perking the skill trees, not me, he decided to be more defensive as a rogue. So here we have close damage reduction and also healing when you have critical hits. This allows him to sustain himself multiple times and also gains a lot of life back without using potions. Now as we come over to the agility tree, 1 point is allocated into dash just for the mobility. He didn't go for the additional critical damage or he didn't go for the dash for now. Because after the nerf he's like, nah, it's not a big deal, and he wanted more passives. So no, we're going to respect him with that, we're going to show the full build that he crafted. Now over here, 1 point will be allocated with damage reduction over time, and also 3 points will be allocated when rogue is controlled. This is a major theme of the rogue. The rogue doesn't have that many uncontrollable unstoppableness, and you can see all the sockets of the gems are there to reduce damage when rogue is controlled or disabled, and this is quite important. Over here, 3 points will also be allocated into concussion, which allows the rogue to knock back enemies and increase critical chance when this happens. Now 1 point will be allocated into the poison trap, which allows us to deal more poison damage, and also this knocks down enemies. Together with the resetting of the imbuement spells, this is one of the methods he was able to have infinite cooldowns and also lots of damage. Now because of a poison rogue, we'll be going with as many points into poison imbuement as we can. And over here, critical strikes with poison imbuement will allow us to deal 75% more damage with increasing poison damage. We'll be going with the points of increasing poison damage, increasing attack speed when enemies are poisoned, and also reduction to enemies damage when they are poisoned. Notice the focus of my friend's build is to stay alive and deal damage. For me, I probably will go into more attack speed, but he really wants to be more durable. Now finally, coming over to the ultimate. We'll be going as a trap rogue, we'll be going with the death trap and all the upgrades. Over here, when we set the traps, we also have increased critical chance against vulnerable enemies, which happens very often. And finally, we have lucky hit chance to gain 8 energy with 30% lucky hit chance. Now the choices of the keystone passives. Initially my friend was going with momentum, but after further testing, he realized that he wants to go fully commit into the traps, which allows him to lower the traps cooldown and also have the additional benefits of chance of stunning enemies with the cluster grenades. Now, because I plan to showcase and also share a lot of good builds with you guys, if you guys do have an interesting and also wonderful build, make sure you send me a message on Discord. We can work through making a clip for the video and also demonstrating to the viewers out there to show you an amazing build and also a creative build. So make sure guys, if you have a great build on any of the classes, Necromancer, Jewels and also Sources, let me know in the comments and also let me know on Discord. So we'll get your build sorted and share it with the community to see how powerful your build is, and it doesn't have to be a meta build. Now coming over to the traces of gears and also Codex and also legendaries. So as for the two-handed offensive Codex, he is going with a Twisting Blade, and this is a max roll Twisting Blade. Yes, he's still going with a Twisting Blade rogue, and you can see has been rolling for slow damage, close, vulnerability damage, dexterity and also poison damage. Ideally, he does want close range damage, but he couldn't get it onto this bow. As for the other two weapons, one of the weapons he's going with increased critical chance when enemies are injured, and also increased crowd control, which he does a lot as his build. And as for the second weapon, he is going to go with increased damage dealt when standing still. And this is one of the reasons we have over 10,000 attack when we're standing still. And this build wants to stand still into the poison cloud. Now on the topic of the poison cloud, so coming over to this ring has the lucky chance to proc poison imbuement, which triggers a poison cloud or pool of poison, which then for the next 3 seconds you have no cooldowns with a poison imbuement, which allows you to do tremendous damage over time, and this is one of the cornerstones of the build. Now because we're going with the traps rogue, we do have the increased chance of making enemies vulnerable with the amulet, which allows us to have almost infinite vulnerability, and together we also have increased resource restoration as we crowd control enemies with their traps. Now coming over to the helmet, you can see that my friend has decided to go with the basic skills reduce damage by 20% for 6 seconds. Again, he wants to be durable. It is alternative, you can go with something else for the defensive, but this is what he chose. As for the chest, he decided to go with 8 attacking elite monsters will provide him with a barrier. And this is very straightforward because this allows him to be more defensive, and that's the goal of the rogue because we deal so much damage. As for the gloves, he is going to have increased damage dealt when he has a barrier. So this combines with the chest to deal more damage and also to be more defensive at the same time. Now because we'll be focused on crowd control enemies with the traps, it is very nice to have the spreading of crowd control. So this is what he decided to go on the boots. And this is actually quite powerful because this allows him to be more durable as enemies are controlled. Now finally, my friend was using the previously keystone passive for momentum. So what I want to show you guys is over here. So previously when he was testing the build and also trying the build, he was using momentum for the damage reduction and also for the additional bonuses. But now after further testing, he decided he's going to switch out of momentum and to go with a full traps build. So now he's got multiple choices. He can imprint something else onto the pins, like increasing armor as he deals more damage, or he can imprint something defensive. And he also have the choice of going with the traps resetting with the ultimate traps, and this allows him to, deal more damage with his ultimate trap. Or what he can do is, he can also have additional barriers with the other unique item, which allows the overhealing to become more barriers, and this will go well with the gloves. Now I know at the start I said this build doesn't require any uniques, so if you guys are going with a pins that is not a unique, you can craft any defensive codex onto this and this will still work. But if you guys do have any of those unique items, you can still use those unique items and deal tremendous more damage with resetting traps, or maybe getting more barriers and becoming more durable. Now briefly onto the socketing choice. We'll be going with the socketing that reduces damage while we're controlled. And here we'll be going with increased critical damage while enemies are vulnerable. Finally, we'll go with increased armor. And those are pretty straightforward. If you guys do want to see the stats of his gears, what I do is I have the replay ready for you guys at the end of the video. Now coming over to the choice of Paragons, I actually forgot to go through this part during the first recording. So here you're gonna see the first Paragon we pick is gonna be the glyph that provides us with more cutthroat damage, and he was able to get 50 dexterity on this board. Now as we keep going onto the next board, we'll be going with a legendary that provides us with deadly ambush. So this deals 23% more critical strike damage against enemies affected by traps, which is great for the traps rogue. We'll also go with some of the rare perks over here for the more traps damage. And as we get over the glyphs, we'll go with the glyph socket that provides us with the 10% physical damage reduction from vulnerable enemies. And here we'll go with the rare perks over here to provide us with more stats as for the damage reduction and also over here for the increased damage. Now notice that he was not able to get the 25 strength onto this glyph. So what my friend was planning to do is, he's planning to get this glyph to level 15, which will expand the radius of the glyph by 1, which is very important to know. So here, just to show you guys quickly, you can see a normal glyph at level 1 is this size, right? But if you go with a glyph that is level 15, and you can see the glyph size is increased by 1 radius. So what my friend is doing is, he is planning ahead of time, so later on he can perk into more strength onto this glyph. Now as we keep going, you can see that he's also going with the lower cooldown of the traps, and this is very powerful for his build. And coming over to the next board, we have Chip Shot, which allows him to deal more damage with enemies who are crowd controlled up by 25%. While he's perking into the glyphs, he's also going with Safeguard to reduce damage from elites. Now after getting the legendary perk over here, we have two choices. We can come over here for the glyph, and notice again, this glyph is planned in the future for level 15 to gain the maximum benefit. And here we'll be going with increased damage to crowd control enemies, getting both of the rare glyph, which allows us to have reduced damage and also increased damage. So which is very good. Now if you decide to path downwards, you're going to come over to the legendary board for the No Witness, which allows him to perk into the glyph that allows him to deal more vulnerability damage, and also when enemies are damaged by you, you'll make them vulnerable. Now while he's over here, he's also getting the rare perks with the increase of maximum life and also increase of damage. Now if you guys decide to take the right hand side path and come over to this side, he is perking into the legendary, which allows his marksman skill and also cutthroat skill to rotate and grant each other damage. So one of the focus of the combination of the skills is that Puncher is going to be a marksman spell, and Twisting Blade is going to be a cutthroat spell. And the combination together with a reduction of damage with basic spells allows him to rotate those spells and make use of the legendary paragons that you saw over here. So this is the Paragon that you saw over here. And this build is fully functional after level 70 or 80, but it gets even better after level 85 or 88. And this is the current level for him. So if you guys are wondering, he haven't unlocked all the maximum Rhinos, so he still have 20 of the Paragon points to go once he unlock those. Now coming over to skill rotations and also tips for the build. So what you want to do is, as a rogue, you're very mobile, but you don't want to waste too many of your dashes. As I was testing this build, I actually died a few times because I was just dashing too much. So the goal is to stand still. Once you stand still, you're going to put down your traps, and this will create a pool of poison because of your legendary effects. And then you're going to right click and left click at the same time to gain the benefit of damage reduction with basic attacks and also the vulnerability and slow from the Puncher. And then with your Twisting Blade, you'll be hitting so many enemies with poison. While enemies are standing in poison, they deal less damage and you deal more damage. And you can see that I'm not popping potions. The focus of the build is to be super durable, super sustainable. You can stand your ground against any enemy, and this allows you to deal more damage over time and not dying due to random effects. So this is really fun. And here let me show you guys the final part of the Nightmare Dungeon. We're fighting at level 97 dungeon, and the downside of this dungeon is that there is no boss monster. So let's show you how to fight the boss monster. Now coming over to replays. If you want a rogue that can stand your ground and cast all the traps in front of the boss and then reset all your cooldowns, this is the build. So here I'm fighting another PvP boss to demonstrate you guys how powerful it is. There is a downside to the build, it's that we're not good with PvP. So I'm just testing my build, and 2 players came and killed me. I was like, what? Yeah, we're not great with PvP. This build is not designed for PvP, just in case you guys are wondering. We do have a build designed for PvP if you want to have a look for the barbarians. But you can have a look. Once we go in front of the boss, we're going to light down both of our traps. After starting poison imbuement and also deal poison damage, we become very durable and we deal so much damage over time. The boss is melting after a few seconds. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates, and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4. Now coming over to the final part. Over here, I'll show you guys all the stats of his gears and also the choices of items. Notice that during the demonstration of the items, he was testing still with momentum, so keep that in mind. Later on, he perked into the traps key passives, and this allows him to have more flexibilities without the life healing with momentum. So this is the variation. Do keep in mind guys, he's not using momentum anymore. And as for the choices of gears, he also recommended that he doesn't have the best rolls on FX. There's a lot of room for improvement, which means you guys can go for better stats and also become stronger as you go through the game. You can see a lot of his gears level 60 and also level 70. This is because we've just been farming experience dungeons. We haven't been upgrading gears too much. We plan to do this after level 95 or maybe level 100, which will take a while. So here is going to be the replay, and when you watch the replay, remember I was the one that's playing the rogue, and my friend was face palming. Because I was moving a lot too much, I was not doing things right, so this is not the full extent of how powerful this build can be, so keep that in mind. Now, in case you guys didn't know, I'll be live streaming on Twitch again, and I have just started. So make sure to come over to the links below to join us on Twitch live to say hi, maybe ask me questions or share any tips with the viewers. And while you're here, make sure you follow. And if you do have your Twitch Prime, this is a really good time to use your Twitch Prime over here, supporting us with Twitch Prime. And yes, guys, join us as I test build for Diablo, and also join us as you play the game and also farm the game. So stay a while and also listen. We'll also be doing some giveaways and also special viewer events in the Diablo as well. Maybe we do PvP and also related events in the game as we get to the end game, and also help players to go through the dungeons.